My name is Jack, and I'm an office worker. But there's been a long-standing feud in my department between my boss, Tom, and me. We always seem to clash. Tom, I really think that approach is bound to fail. We need to plan this out properly, I'd say, trying to push for some common sense. But Tom's work was always sloppy, causing trouble for the rest of the team. Everyone else was too scared to stand up to him, our fearsome boss. I'm the only one who ever speaks out. "Shut it, Jack. You're so annoying," Tom would say, sighing dramatically, his dismissive tone sparking yet another argument. Today was no different, with Tom and me butting heads again. But what made today unusual was the way Tom kept smirking, even as he lectured me in front of everyone, a humiliating situation. "What's with that attitude?" I shot back, frustrated. "If you have a problem, just say it." Tom's smirk deepened, his eyes gleaming with something unsettling. "It's because of your attitude that you're a failure as a husband," he said, his voice dripping with malice. His words cut deep, like he knew more about my private life than he should. He covered his mouth slightly, pretending to regret what he said. "Oops, can't say any more than that," he added before heading outside for a smoke. I couldn't shake off his words, and I followed him outside. I have a wife named Emily, 2 years younger than me, but our relationship has been strained lately. As Tom lit his cigarette, I confronted him, demanding to know what he meant. Tom just smirked, taking a long drag before blowing out a cloud of smoke. Then he dropped a bombshell. "Emily is going to remarry me." "What?" My hand trembled slightly as his words sank in. "It doesn't matter to you anyway, right? You were planning to divorce her soon, weren't you?" Tom's tone was mocking. It was true that Emily and I had been drifting apart, but I never intended to divorce her. I loved her and wanted to work on mending our relationship. But Tom was relentless. "You're too full of yourself. That's why she's leaving you," he sneered. Then, leaning closer, he whispered, "Do you know what Emily says about you? She says you're all talk." He laughed, tossing his cigarette butt into the ashtray, before delivering one last jab. "Your wife's the best," he said, walking back to the office, leaving me standing there, speechless. I'm just a regular office worker at an ordinary company in New York, and my romance with Emily began at work. We met during our new employee training, where we hit it off and eventually started dating. Our relationship progressed smoothly into marriage. Emily was always responsible, and I admired her work ethic. When we married, Emily wanted to keep working, but I insisted that she stay home and take care of the family. I promised to be the breadwinner, assuring her that I'd provide for us. Emily agreed, but said that if we had children, she'd quit her job to be a mother. After that, she resigned and became a full-time housewife. But in hindsight, that might have been when things started to change. The biggest issue between us was that we didn't have children. Emily became increasingly stressed, blaming herself for quitting her job when we couldn't start a family. Whenever I tried to comfort her, she'd push me away, yelling, "Don't touch me. You took my job away, and yet you keep working the same job. Why don't you bring home a promotion for once?" Her anger grew, and our arguments became more heated. For over 6 months, we went through a rough patch. During that time, she might have secretly started seeing my boss, Tom. Apparently, she called me all talk. My empty promises and inability to fulfill them had driven a wedge between us. I remember Tom always favoring Emily, and they might have kept in touch even after I married her. As our relationship soured, they probably started an affair. I wanted to confront Emily about everything, but when I got home, her belongings were gone. The affair was real, and having my wife taken by my nemesis boss was a humiliation beyond words. Nothing could have been more frustrating. Gradually, I couldn't stand working at the same company as Tom and decided to quit. Misfortune seemed to follow me everywhere. "Why are you quitting, Jack?" my colleagues would ask. I'd just smile and say, "I'm moving on to a new job." None of them knew about my divorce or her affair with Tom. I couldn't possibly tell them the truth. Maybe I should have sued for the affair, but all I wanted was to escape, to a place where I didn't have to see Tom's face. Being alone in the house felt even worse. The absence of Emily made our 2-bedroom apartment feel vast and empty. Though I told my colleagues I was getting a new job, I had no motivation to start job hunting. I wandered aimlessly around the city until I found myself in the nightlife district. Maybe I should drink my sorrows away just for tonight, I thought. Standing in front of a bar that caught my eye, I resolved to drown my misery until morning and reached for the door. At that moment, I heard a woman's voice behind me saying, "There you are. I've missed you so much." Startled, I turned around to see a woman I didn't recognize, who then grabbed my arm and acted as if we were a couple, leaving me utterly confused. What?" I managed to stammer. The woman, still clinging to my arm, asked, "Where are we going tonight?" Her behavior was strange, but then I noticed something. Her arm was trembling slightly, and her smile seemed forced, like she was hiding fear. Something wasn't right. Thinking quickly, I decided to play along. "Well, let's go to a place you like," I said, trying to sound natural. She nodded slightly, relief washing over her face, and eagerly said, "Yay. Follow me, please." I followed her lead as she guided me to a nightclub. Once we were standing in front of the club, she sighed in relief. "Thank you for going along with my story. I managed to get through that thanks to you." The woman introduced herself as Ashley, though she admitted it was an alias she used at the club. "I was invited by Ashley. Please come with me," she said, leading me to a seat inside. Once we were seated, she explained why she had pretended to know me. "I've actually been stalked by a customer who keeps insisting on an after party. He's this awful old guy who touches me inappropriately. I always refuse because who knows what he might do if I went with him," she explained, her voice trembling slightly. "I see. So you clung to me or any guy nearby because you felt in danger?" I asked. "That's right," she nodded. "It was just awful, but I was saved because you were there. I really like dependable men," she added, placing her hand on my thigh. Ashley was a very beautiful woman, and just her touch was enough to make my heart race. Having been called unreliable by Emily and essentially discarded, Ashley's words rebuilt my shattered pride. "Let's enjoy the night," she said seductively, her eyes captivating me. Just then, a waiter approached and said, "Feel free to have a drink," offering us a menu. "I'll take you up on that offer," I said, reaching for the menu, but before I could grab it, something unexpected happened. "Excuse me," a woman suddenly intervened. "Hey, what's up, Sarah?" "I don't need help," Ashley said, her tone shifting. But the woman, whom Ashley called Sarah, glared at her intensely. "Ashley, please stop doing this," she said sternly. Ashley's demeanor changed abruptly, and she snapped, "What?" "Come with me," Sarah said, grabbing my arm and pulling me out of the club. As I was being dragged along, I couldn't help but wonder how many times I was going to be grabbed by a woman today. Once we were outside, Sarah looked around, then said, "We should be safe here." "Sorry, Jack." "Oh no, it's okay. I'm getting used to being dragged around," I replied, still trying to process everything. "Wait, how do you know my name?" "Don't you recognize me?" she asked, turning to face me. I stared at her, trying to place her face. Suddenly, it clicked. "Lily, is that you?" Lily was a junior from my company. I had recently left the company, and my impression of Lily was that she was a very serious and quiet woman who barely wore makeup. But now, her mascara was dramatically curled, and her bold cheek and lip makeup made her look like a completely different person, a woman of the night. "You work here?" I asked, still trying to reconcile the Lily I knew with the person in front of me. Lily nodded. Sarah was her alias in the club. I knew the company allowed side jobs, but I never imagined she had this other side. "When I saw you come to the club, I was surprised," she admitted. "But since you left the company recently, I thought it wouldn't be a problem to talk to you. I didn't want to see a former senior getting tricked." "What do you mean?" I asked, confused. "That Ashley, she's been using some pretty nasty tactics to lure customers lately. Did she grab your arm and say she missed you, making up a story about being stalked by another customer?" Realizing she was right, I let out an involuntary gasp. Lily sighed, clearly troubled. "Just as I thought. It seemed you almost fell for a kind of theatrical scam." I felt a wave of embarrassment wash over me. What a spectacle, in front of a junior no less. I'm so embarrassed. "Thanks for the help, Lily." "It's nothing really," she said. "The club had its eye on Ashley's behavior anyway. I'll report your case to the manager." "That's a relief," I said, feeling grateful. "Can I ask you something?" "What is it?" she responded. "Just curious, but why are you working at a place like this?" I was surprised, I admitted. "But you don't have to answer if you don't want to." "I just wanted to drink until I pass out today. I feel lonely and wanted to hear someone's story." Feeling a bit pathetic for leaning on a junior, I braced myself and asked her. Lily seemed to ponder for a moment, then whispered, "It's you, Jack. so I guess it would be fine. She took a deep breath and began her story. Actually, I'm being forced to work at this club, almost like it's against my will. What? I asked, shocked. My mother is a bit of a mess. After she divorced my father, she went off the deep end, got involved in some weird religion, and racked up a huge debt. Now I'm the one trying to pay it off. But that's your mother's debt, not yours, right? I protested. Lily turned her face away. I've always done whatever my mother told me to. She demanded money, so I just followed her orders. Lily shared that she had grown up enduring violence from her mentally unstable mother, which made it nearly impossible for her to defy her. I used to be a brighter girl, she confessed, but ever since my mother changed, I've become shy and gloomy. I hate what I've become. For the first time, I saw Lily's expression, usually so composed, twist in pain as she spoke these words. It must have been a very difficult life, a life bound by her mother. Watching her, I felt a strange urge to help. Why don't you just run away from your mother? I asked gently. Lily looked at me with surprise in her eyes. I've tried to run away so many times, but I'm scared. Her presence is just. Her shoulders trembled slightly, as if she were reliving unpleasant memories. I gently placed my hand on her shoulder. Then let me help you talk to your mother. Why would you go that far from me, Jack? She asked, bewildered. I shrugged and gave her a small smile. I got divorced, you know. About Emily, she was having an affair with Tom. A divorce? Really? She asked, shocked. Yes, I confirmed, trying to smile, but inside, I felt like crying. I ran away from that job. I had to escape. It's embarrassing and pathetic, but I ran and ran. I repeated the word ran and then added, I'm trying to grab onto the next happiness. I surprised myself. Just moments ago, I had been in the depths of despair, but now I could say something so positive. It's okay to run from the past. Now, next time, you just need to find happiness in the future. It felt like I was telling myself more than Lily. Right? I should also look forward, she said softly. The reason I wanted to help Lily was that I saw her on the same brink of despair I had been. When I looked up, our eyes met. Lily, with a slightly apologetic expression, asked, Will you really help me? I definitely will, I replied, determined. We later arranged to meet with her mother. A few days later, I went to Lily's family home and met her mother. Could you please let your daughter go? Let her be free, I pleaded. But her mother yelled back, Don't stick your nose into other people's family matters. Your daughter is an excellent worker, but if she keeps juggling a day job and a night job, she'll break down eventually. Are you okay with that? I found myself shouting, trying to reach her, but her mother refused to listen, and with a harsh tone, she threatened, If you say another word, I'll call the police. Just then Lily, with tears welling up in her eyes, said, Mom, please stop. I'm going to leave you. It seemed my words had given Lily the courage she needed. Despite her long-standing fear of her domineering mother, she now confronted her with all the frustration she'd been holding back. It was an ordeal so intense that I wondered if it was even appropriate for me, an outsider, to witness. The realization that her daughter was truly leaving must have struck her mother hard, as she suddenly pleaded, Please don't abandon me. But Lily's resolve didn't waver. Finally, she said goodbye and pulled my arm as we left the house. On the way home, Lily asked me, Was this the right thing to do? It was, I reassured her. Take some time away from her. You can meet her again later, but for now, just take care of yourself. As I said this, Lily seemed to find some resolution. For the first time, she showed me a genuine smile, saying, You're right. Let me treat you to something as a thank you next time. Her smile soothed my troubled heart. I never knew Lily's smile could be so lovely. I found myself gazing at her for a long while. From that day on, our relationship changed from former colleagues to companions who had shared tough experiences. Later, Lily and I started dating. She became brighter, more beautiful, and always shared her smiles with me. Then, one day, I ran into the most unexpected people. It was my ex-wife, Emily, and my former boss, Tom. Wow, what's this? Are you two together now? That's quite a surprise, Tom said, looking astonished as he switched his gaze between Lily and me. Emily, on the other hand, awkwardly averted her eyes from me. My heart almost stopped upon encountering these two, the very source of my trauma. I braced myself for what they might say, But surprisingly, it was Lily who spoke first. "Tom, have you found a new job yet?" she asked casually. It was too late by the time Tom responded. "Hey, wait." Emily turned to him, demanding, "What do you mean, new job?" "That guy caused some problems at the workplace, so he's resigning at the end of this month as part of taking responsibility. So good luck, Tom," Lily said with a sly grin, then pulled my arm, saying, "Let's go." As we walked past them, I could hear Emily and Tom's loud argument fade into the distance. Feeling a bit relieved, Lily grinned and said, "That was a little payback for the two who hurt you." Her dependable smile made me smile too. With Lily, I felt I could find happiness again. This incident made me sure of her love for me. In fact, I've already purchased an engagement ring and have it tucked away in my room. I'm secretly planning to give it to her in the near future.